Hi everybody and welcome to Get Stuck In, and we have a lot to get stuck into. We're going to reflect in the next 20 minutes, half an hour, what an amazing week over at Navan and closer to home at Skelton. 3 fantastic days. We're also going to be speaking to a special guest, Daryl Jacob. He's excited about next weekend where the Betfair Chase will take centre stage at Haydock. We'll catch up with Patrick Mullins. We might mention the Great Weight Hurdle, might be a little bit of a sore spot. But as ever, we want you to get in comment and tell us what you like for the weekend or what did impress you, and about our new special guest. Dave Ord is going to join us with Martin Dixon. He's a special guest. Welcome along.
Well, thanks for having me on. I had to get involved now. The success of the show, whoever's been coming on as the special guests, just been 5 winners left, right and centre, haven't we? James Owen, Gordon Elliott, Henry Brook, Laura Morgan. Winners. It's just the Hannity Midas touch. I don't know how you do it, but it's just magic.
You can't call him Director Dave anymore, can you? Not for this week. Anyway.
No, it's not Director Dave. It's Dave Dixon who arranges these. No relation to Martin, I hasten to add. But Dave Dixon from Dewsbury, he's the one who lines up these special guests. But as you said, we've had a flood of comments from you who are watching. But now it's a show that jockeys and trainers want to get involved in because success breeds success.
Well, it does, and that's why I've given Dan Barber the elbow. I'm having a bit of it myself. It's good for the CV.
Yeah, good stuff. Big question, and again, you tell us what you liked for the weekend or what impressed you the most. But Martin, start with you. You were at Cheltenham for the weekend. Tell us what.
Well, look, there's a lot to pick through, isn't there, from Cheltenham at the weekend? You could pick any number, to be honest. But Haydock Road won the first race at Cheltenham on Saturday.
For friend of the show, James Owen.
Exactly. You'd interviewed James in the week, but this horse has got a serious amount of ability, hasn't he? And we knew that from his flat ability anyway. It's not often nowadays that you get horses of the calibre that can win at Royal Ascot on the flat, and then they turn their attentions to hurdling. So it's pretty refreshing to see that, and I think obviously that flat level of ability that he's got adds to what the potential that he's got as a hurdler. But I thought he put a fabulous performance up at Cheltenham on Saturday, just to show the speed that he did, to quicken up off a pretty steady gallop and then forge away from them up the hill. I was really impressed with him.
I think it's important because a lot of these horses now are getting sold to Hong Kong, sold to Australia, and it hasn't. The introduction of the Boodles, the Fred Winters, it has lessened the triumph anyway, numerically and quality wise, and a lot of these horses going and all-weather racing as well. Good all-weather racing has seen that not many horses, as you say, with his CV come into jump racing now. So it's good. His jumping's not brilliant, Dave, but it doesn't stop him. It doesn't bother me, his jumping, because he'll gallop through one. It doesn't look pretty, but he doesn't lose any. He doesn't waste time.
No, it can sharpen up as well. I thought I was really deeply impressed as Martin was. I thought the interview with Harry Cobden with Lydia afterwards was really telling as well. She asked about the Nichols juveniles. Will he be on him in the Triumph? He said, we've got a few at home, but none will be as good as this lad. I thought that was very telling.
Yeah, I hope Nichols didn't hear it.
No, he'll have switched off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's just got so much pace, hasn't he? And if he's ridden cold like he was, the key is riding him like that, because if he was ridden in the pack, he'd probably pull too hard, to be honest. But Cobden settled him out the back. He had a load of confidence in the horse's ability to quicken up and pick off the horses, even off a steady gallop, and he was able to do it. So I'm sure his jumping, or I hope his jumping, will get a little bit better as the season goes on. But even the performance that he put up at the weekend, I think would be good enough to finish in the top 3 in a Triumph hurdle, and obviously he's entitled to progress a little bit more again. So Haydock Road for me as a horse to be very positive about from the 3 days.
And sometimes in recent years, sometimes you have to wait to February time to the Adonis. You'll see some French horse that we haven't heard of at this stage of the year come and stamp their authority on it. But I think in England, be surprised if he stays in one piece that England will have a stronger contender going into it.
Yeah, well, you even go back a couple of years, we had Pied Piper, example of a horse that moved from the flat, went hurdling, and he nearly, he ran a screamer in a Triumph hurdle. He was placed in a Triumph hurdle. Haydock Road is much better than Pied. I know ratings wouldn't necessarily have him that far ahead, but he's definitely a classier horse and a better horse than Pied Piper was as a flat performer, and we've obviously seen him take to hurdles already.
Joking aside, friend of the show, James Owen, who is watching. James, we were impressed, well done. He's doing very well as a trainer, isn't he?
It's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, background with the Arab horses from Shadwell was telling us all about that. He's got 10 jumpers, he said. I've room for 20 horses. I've got about 10 to go to Warwick.
I think he's about 20 in at the minute, but he's room for a lot more at their family place. They have a lot of room, but I think he'll be expanding quicker than me and you do over Christmas.
You need a flag bearer, don't you, when you're starting up? I think he's got one here.
He has. Good racing in Ireland at the weekend. Navan made a big effort. A couple of friends were sent me videos of there was like music, lots going on. Gordon Elliott, lots of winners, the usual suspects, lots of winners, but good quality racing.
There was. I've got a dark horse for you from Navan, Facile Vega. Put him in your tracker. Willie Mullins, I believe.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Now, Martin's gone with adequate for the description of Facile Vega and Navan. I was taken by him. He was very slow at the first and time to warm up, but it was a really good beginner's chase. With grade 1 horses in second and third as well, and it's what he did from the second last home. He was on the bridle again and picked up after the last. And Patrick Mullins makes a point. This is a horse who didn't run in point to point. He's got no background. He's learning on the job all the time. And I thought if you're looking for a 2-mile chasing star, you couldn't have made a much better start than he did. So, and the good thing with Ireland, we know where all roads lead now. Will be Leopardstown over Christmas, Dublin Racing Festival, and the Arkland. I think it'll take a good one to beat.
I got the impression that if in the pocket another day, maybe a bit later on in the season, if they come against each other, I think he could have made a bit more of a race of it.
They're talking 2.5, aren't they, within the pocket, potentially going up in that trip. But he travelled lovely, didn't he? I think it was a really good. Well, it looked a good race on paper.
It was a good race on paper. None of the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh jockeys got done for excessive use of the whip.
No, they did the winning rider. I don't think he team once.
No, true. Okay, we'll hear from Patrick Mullins about Facile Vega. He is coming up later in the show, but we want your interaction as well. Do comment below what you liked or what you'd like this weekend. Okay, so around the yards, let's go to Dan Skelton's powerful yard, the yard of Protectorat, the winner of the Betfair Chase 12 months ago. Dan, how is he?
Yeah, he's really well. Very happy with him. Done what we asked him to do in training. Followed a very similar schedule to last year. We're getting the same reading off him. So yeah, consistency is at this point very, very satisfying.
Yeah, and the Gold Cup, no doubt, hopefully will be his aim again. But I love the way this time last year we spoke on the show and you were like, Betfair Chase, there'll be no excuses, we are ready, and it's the same thing again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, everyone else around him perhaps has other targets or whatever, but we've got aspirations down the line, but plan A, B, and C before Christmas has been the Betfair. I think there's a bit of rain due towards the end of the week, which won't do us any harm. Everything's gone like we'd want it to be honest.
It might scare a couple of your rivals away as well. Shishkin, Brave Man's Game, we keep hearing that they might duck it if the rain comes.
Yeah, I think I hear it and believe it more about Shishkin. Paul's very keen to run. I had a chat with him yesterday at Cheltenham. Typical Paul, he won't backing down.
Yeah. You've learned off him.
Yeah.
What else in the card are you going to have Saturday?
Yeah, we'll have a few up there. I shall run Santos Blue in the long distance hurdle. He's ridden by Ben Sutton. He's his father's horse, so he rides him. But he's a progressive horse. I like him a lot. I think he'll step forward from his first run. We actually haven't got anything for the novice hurdle, but we shall run Real Stone in the 2-mile chase. He'd definitely have a squeak. We've got Grey Dawning entered in the graduation chase. And then we've got Lac de Constance for the 2.5 mile, 2 mile 3 handicap hurdle. So a few lively chances, to be honest. And your horse are running really well. I was at Wellerby Saturday. You had a good winner in the first race, and loads of seconds and thirds. And on other days, it could be sort of doubles and trebles if you like. Yeah, I think they're there, but they're not quite. They're not all the way there yet. Cheltenham was a bit frustrating, but I think a few of them had legitimate reasons for why they might have not run brilliantly, either ground or running quickly or first run of the year, whatever. There's a few in there that I can say, well, that's why horses run a particular way. But sometimes when you're in rude form, horses that you don't think will win do, and I just don't think we're at that point yet in the season. But the ones that we've really keyed and sort of aimed up and everything else have run very well. And I suppose the most recent one is Calico, who was second in a good handicap at Cheltenham on Friday. We had him ready for that day, and he was only beaten in the last 3 strides. So it's nice to have Protectorat fresh, ready, and this is his main aim. Yeah, good stuff. Looking forward to it. Thanks for the updates, Dan. We look forward to seeing you Saturday at Haydock. Yeah, cheers. Thanks. Dan Skelton in bullish form ahead of Saturday's assignment. I suppose the big question is what will line up against them. We'll find out the declarations later in the week. What will the underfoot conditions be? Let's speak to Clerk of the Course, Curtin Telroy. Delighted to be joined by Curtin Telroy. What is the ground?
Chase course heavy, soft in places. Hurdle course soft, heavy in places.
Forecast for the week looks dryish.
I mean, it's drizzle now, but after this, it should be dry for the great majority of the week.
When Nicky Henderson and Paul Nichols ring you and say, give us a going update, what do you think the ground will be Saturday, Kirkland? What will you tell them?
Well, experience tells you don't promise too much. It should dry a bit, but it's November rather than June.
So we're thinking it'll be softy. Should it be no good to soft?
I think we might. Certainly, the hurdle course should have good to soft in places in it. The chase course might struggle to get. It might.
But largely drizzle this morning. We're recording obviously Monday morning, but the rest of the week predominantly dry. Might catch a shower.
The rest of the week is dry, so it's only going one way, but it'll go there slowly.
Yeah, good stuff. And I suppose what we should remember is it's the first meeting of the year, so it's fairly virginal ground.
Very good point. It's absolutely lovely turf.
Oh, look at that. Wish my garden looked like that. Kirkland, thank you for the update. We look forward to seeing you Saturday, whatever the ground is.
Thank you, Niall. See you Saturday.
There's not going to be many runners, is there? Protectorat, short price favourite to win again. I like the Skeltons, Dan and Harry, and they didn't go around with their eyes closed at Ditchit. It's sort of like speaking to Paul Nichols, isn't it? This time last year we sat here and Dan came on the show, said, this has been the aim, there'll be no excuses, it's not the ground, it's not fitness, he's going. Again, this year's the same.
Yeah, and we get that so often with the Skeltons, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, if they're undecided, they'll tell you they're undecided, but often they have made their mind up as to exactly where they want to go, and they go there. It's a shame, isn't it, Niall, that we're going to get a small field Betfair Chase again, and I think there's a bigger point to make about this just over the course of the weekend, because we don't know whether Shishkin's going to go to Ascot or Haydock again. And I think the point to make really is that racing is shooting itself in the foot with the fixture list. You have those two high quality chases over similar distances for similar horses on exactly the same day at different race courses. Why? It's a grade one. It is a grade one. It's meant to be competitive with top quality horses turning up against each other to take each other on. And too often it's not that, and it's getting in the way.
I wonder if there's an argument too for switching this in the Charlie Hall Chase in the calendar. That if trainers are saying it's too tight for the kid, because we want staying chasers, grade one staying chasers should run for Betfair Chase, King George, Gold Cup, Aintree. That's the pattern. And if they're saying it's too tight, there's not enough weeks, why not swap? Put the grade two back and give that as a big race target for other horses.
I hear you, and I agree with you. But what will happen? We've had a wet autumn. Where normally, if you've done that a couple of weeks ago, it'd be like normally it's a little bit dry. Because sometimes they have to water
of course,
there.
Yeah.
But I agree with both of you.
There's too many of these races for similar horses throughout the whole of the season. There are too many of the similar types of races. I mean, we're a few weeks off of Peterborough Chase. Then there's the King George. Then there's just too many options for similar horses. And if you decrease the options, people have got to go there, take each other on. If they're happy with their horse and happy with the conditions, they run. And we get more competitive fields in the best races. That's what people want. That's what the racing public wants, and it's what racing needs really for it to be a genuinely exciting sport for people to get involved in and want to come to the races and enjoy it.
I think that goes back to the point you made right at the start. Dan Skelton targets the grade one. This is a massive grade one race, one of the biggest staying chasers of the season, and he could argue
it won't be fitness, it won't be ground. I will be there. I'll see you there.
And they celebrated like they'd won a grade one last year as well.
And so they should.
Absolutely.
It's a brilliant race though. Look at the history of it. One of my favourite days racing I've ever had, Quarter Star. When he
thought he should have been retired, and that reception.
Nichols and Skelton running alongside him afterwards.
And
not that quick. But
you go to Haydock on Saturday. The crowd is. I go to a lot of these big meetings right the way through the season, thankfully, and the crowd there. It's as good an atmosphere as you get anywhere through the whole season. I've experienced some great days there, and it could be exactly that, but it is disappointing when you get 3 or 4 runners and they're not up to scratch for what the grade of race should be.
I really hope that Brave Man's Game takes him on. If he does, he's going to have a new jockey on board. That will be Daryl Jacob, and Dave caught up with him and asked him how excited he is about it.
Breaking news on Monday morning was that our very own Daryl Jacob is in line to ride Brave Man's Game in the Grade 1 Betfair Chase at Haydock on Saturday. Daryl joins us now. How excited are you, mate?
Hi, David. Yeah, obviously, hugely exciting. That's why we're in this game, to be riding top quality horses, and to get the call up on one of the best staying chasers in England. Is second in the Gold Cup. To win a King George. He's a phenomenal horse, and I'm hugely privileged and excited, and I can't wait to Saturday to ride him.
You schooled him in Ditchett on Monday. What sort of feel did he give you?
Look at them superstars. They always give you. They're very uncomplicated. They always give you lovely rides. I school him around the school there. I jumped plenty of hurdles and the mini ditches around there this morning. And he's just a wonderful, a very athletic, very well balanced horse. And there's a lot of power there behind him. And I'm sure Harry's had some really fine days on him, and I can see why.
What about Haydock for him, Del? You've got great experience around there. What sort of attributes does a horse need to win a Betfair Chase?
Well, obviously Bristol was, he was a very powerful, he was a good solid stayer, and he acted very well on flat tracks, and that's exactly what Brave Man's Game brings to the game. He's a very, very balanced horse. He loves a flat track as well. His best form around the King George have been on flat tracks. He's got a nice bit of speed, and he's a very adequate and very professional jumper.
And just what would it mean to you to get another Grade 1, another Betfair Chase on the CV this season?
Well, Haydock's like my back garden at the moment, isn't it? I seem to be always up here. I had so many great days with Bristol up here, and to get a really exciting ride in the race again, it's hugely exciting for me. I absolutely love this race. I used to look forward to this race every year with Bristol, and I didn't think I'd have a ride in the race this year, but to pick up Brave Man's Game is it's really exciting, and I'm very, very grateful to Paul and to his owners for giving me the opportunity to ride such an exciting horse.
I really hope he lines up. I really do, for the race, because it gives the race a bit of credibility. You don't want to protect our Ryanair against a couple of others. And
if we get Protector at Shishkin, Brave Man's Game, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely should be.
Hand on heart, I don't think we will.
No.
I hope we do, but
I think we might get Brave Man's Game. Dan mentioned that Nichols is itching to have a go, and I get the impression there. He said he won't run on heavy, but will run on soft. From what Kirkland said, it's not going to dry out rapidly, is it? But if we do get a dry week,
and we mentioned
wood or whatever this is, with half a chance.
Yeah, it's not wood.
MDF.
Yeah, but Kirkland said, remember, it's virginal ground. It's the first jumps meeting of the year on natural ground that hasn't been watered, it hasn't been raced on. Nicky, we know you're watching, to get him declared. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think you've got a Gold Cup horse, this is where you run.
We'll learn.
Find out.
Yeah, we'll learn something. And it's a Grade 1 in its own right. It's a brilliant race to win and have on your CV, isn't it? That's proven with the previous winners of the race. But I did want to mention Lompresse as well. I hope he takes his chance. He can add something to the race. He would have finished second in a King George last year, behind Brave Man's Game if he'd have completed the race. He's a very talented horse, still pretty unexposed as a staying chaser as well. He didn't have many runs outside a novice company last season, and the way that Venetia's horses are ticking along this month, he'll be ready to fire if they declare him on Thursday morning.
It looks like Corrick Rambler, last year's Grand National winner, is going to line up. He won a Grand National of 146. Dull reappearance at Kelso. So we know over the last 20 years horses win the Grand National. It's hard for them afterwards.
That's the worry.
What are you looking for?
Well, Kelso was so dull. When he finished last season, he looked like he might be ready to step up into Grade 1 company. He didn't have that much to find. He had all the momentum in the world. It was missing at Kelso. It was such a dull run. We want to see him take an interest, travel through the race, and be at the very least competitive.
Sum it up for us. I know it's hard to sum up, but hopefully we get the three big ones.
The summing up is that fingers crossed that the right horses run and take each other on.
Yeah.
As I say, I doubt they will. But
I think we might get the Protector at Brave Man's Game head to head. And I think if we do, as we record, it's 11 to 10, 9 to 2. There isn't that gap between the two of them if they do both turn.
No, Brave Man's will be a fair odds on shot, won't he?
Yeah. Just about fair. He would. I think he'd go favourite, would he?
He'd have to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the Betfair Chase this Saturday at Haydock Park. Okay, it's time for Team Tracker, and obviously a busy weekend. The open meeting at Cheltenham always throws up plenty of horses, and a Navan good card as well. 2 each. Start with you.
Artistic Endeavour from Friday, closing handicap hurdle that was won by Impose Trois at Cheltenham. That race just generally very strong piece of form. I think it'll throw up loads of winners. But Artistic Endeavour, the horse that I've picked out of there, he might even drop a couple of pounds. He needs a step up in trip. Running over 2 miles at Cheltenham on Friday. It just happened a little bit too quick for him, but he was rallying up the hill, and I think he's a very well handicapped horse who can find easier races. And then Es Perfecto, who ran yesterday in the Chase. Bit too keen early, but jumped well, didn't quite finish off his race. I think on a flatter track, Es Perfecto very well handicapped over fences.
He ran Sunday at Cheltenham, so a couple there from Cheltenham.
First race, Cheltenham Friday. Duckmore Bay for Emma Lavelle. Finished 7th in the conditional jockeys race. Bad mistake, lost his place. Cut off again on the home turn. Rallied really strongly. He'll be winning races off 1, 2, 4 because the handicapper can't touch him off the back of that. And one that you pulled your face at. Martin Gaver's start in front who ran really well. He's an eye-catcher in 3rd in the Weatherby handicap, won by Richmond Lake, who got a gimme in front. Punta del Este, who Skelton's finished 2nd. The race just wasn't. He needs a gallop to aim at. He hasn't really had it. Still remember his promising run in the Victor Ladorvan on his first start in Britain, and he's getting handicapped to win races himself now.
They gave him a freebie, didn't they, Richmond Lake?
It was back to if he was going to get a freebie as well, wasn't he? Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 4 horses to keep an eye on. Duckmore Bay, Punta Lest for Dave Ord, and Martin Dixon, Artistic Endeavour, and Es Perfecto. Do let us know the horses, however, that you're keeping on side as well. Okay, Festival Focus. I think the race that we're going to look ahead to this week is the Ryanair because of Stage Star, what he'd done in the Paddy Power. And you look at him, Nichol's a great target trainer. We know that, we saw that at the weekend. You just look around what horses are going to line up as well.
There aren't many other. The only worrying thing was Paul saying if he couldn't find another race left-handed, he was going to go straight to the Ryanair, which was the last thing he did. But Allaho's favourite, just about ahead of Stage Star. Allaho's got questions to answer still. I mean, he was miles off his peak form on that return, as you would expect. He's not rock solid. Stage Star is what he is, and he'll give a credible run. The one that I was taking for the weekend was Edwardstone, who's 25s for the Ryanair. Alan King's first instinct was to step up in trip after the slur. Tom Cannon said, no, let's have another shot at the Tingle Creek, then maybe do it. If he does turn up, I don't think it'll be a 25 to 1 chance.
I think that's fair. Yeah, you know, he's got the ability, hasn't he, for sure, to be competitive. I'm interested to see where Banbridge goes next. He's a horse just to not forget about. We haven't seen him yet this season, but he won the entry novice Grade 1 over 2.5 mile when we last saw him. He's got a really good Cheltenham record as well. He's won there over hurdles and over fences as a novice last season as well. And he's a proper intermediate trip horse, isn't he, Banbridge? So I don't know where we're going to see him next. We haven't seen him yet. But he's worth keeping an eye on wherever he does turn up because, you know, the Ryanair, I'm sure, will be the right type of race for him. Just on Stage Star, I don't think he's ever run right-handed over jumps. He's running a bumper right-handed.
He run once right-handed in a bumper. He's never
in
run
a bumper,
right-handed.
he's never done it over jumps.
I think they're saying at home that he does always go right, goes right.
Yeah.
But
look, he obviously there's obviously good reason for it. You just think that maybe they'd try it on the track.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. That's we talked about the race planning and fixtures. There is no opportunity for Grade 1, 2.5 left-handed from November till March. Just seem a
don't be adding on more races. They were trying to take.
That's true. Yeah. Well, we've got rid of 2 earlier, so we just put 1 back on for them.
Okay. I quite like your Banbridge angle. He's been a good horse for Ronnie Bartlett and Juice for Brian. But how many times do we say Cheltenham form?
Yeah, he's got a really good record there, and he's not a 2-miler, is he? I mean, he got away with 2 miles a couple of times last year because he was outclassing horses, but he wanted 2.5. He showed that at Aintree. He beat Saint-Noir at Aintree, who'd been placed in an Arkle. You know, he's a talented horse, so he's a horse that could come firmly into the sort of Ryanair picture. Stage Star's going to be a big player, but he's now squeezed right up at the top of the market. Like, there's no point in backing him now. In my opinion, anyway.
Okay, let's look at the Festival Focus, the Ryanair. What horses have we missed? Do let us know in the comments below. Big weekend in Ireland. Every weekend from here to March is a big weekend in Ireland for Willie Mullins. We caught up with Patrick Mullins. I didn't. I'm not allowed to speak to him still, but Michael Shinners is.
So we were delighted with Bassio Vega yesterday. He obviously was a bit hesitant over the first fence, but we warmed up into it. He wouldn't have the wealth of jumping experience at the next point or a bridge horse would, so I think we'll be a lot of room for improvement in his fencing. But to beat a horse again to pocket first time out, it was an ideal start, so he'll build on it and he remains very exciting. Baby Kate won the mayor's bumper here. Ryan Hayes gave her a fantastic ride. She's obviously a brilliant energy, being out of Augusta Hayes, out of Feathered Lady. She's probably the smallest horse in the yard, but she's strong. lots of ability. So we'll give her a short break now because she's been on the go quite a while. She's doing 4, but we'll be heading towards DRF, the mares with DRF next. That'll be our next port of call. So she's her mother won the Aintree Mares bumper, so she might go and try emulate her. And then today it didn't go quite as well. Fact of File ran into American Mike. I think they're 2 very good horses. Obviously American Mike, I think Navan is probably a bit of a home game for Gordon, so we were up against it, but I think he'll probably come on for the run, and he remains very exciting. Probably further the better for him, I think. I think he'll be a 4-mile chase horse, and I might have to get a few favours there. And then only matter of time. We thought with a lead he'd be fine, but obviously he's ducked out. Nothing Danny could have done. It was just obviously he just has that quirk, and we'll have to ride him with that in mind next time. We thought he'd be fine today having a lead, and obviously Danny being ready for it, but next time we'll just obviously have to have him away from the wings. So he remains very exciting, but disappointing on the day.
Okay, something for the weekend. Doesn't have to be Betfair Chase. We just need a winner. Martin Dixon, I'll start with you.
Cheddleton. I think he's going to run in the 12:40 at Haydock on Saturday. I'd be pretty confident about this horse as well. He's got a really good record at Haydock. He's won there twice from 3 visits to the track. You only go back to last December, he was placed, beating a couple of lengths at Wetherby off a mark of 146. He's down to 142 with only a couple of runs behind him in between. And I thought he shaped really well on his comeback run over hurdles at Carlisle. They tried him over 2.5. He didn't get home really. And that was his seasonal comeback run as well. He kind of blew up a little bit, but he travelled really exuberantly, looked like a horse still that has all of his old ability, and he is well handicapped and conditions will be pretty much optimum. So Cheddleton, he handles pretty much anything we soft in the description. He's fine, and he's an enthusiastic, good bold jumper, loves the track at Haydock. Everything will be set up for him. So Cheddleton, 12:40 at Haydock on Saturday.
I'm going to return us right to the start of the show, and Dan took you through some of his other runners. Haydock, I like Santos Blue, the rider Ben Sutton, obviously. In that big handicap hurdle, he was second at Aintree. Dan's are all needing to run this season. Travel lovely. Ben dropped his whip that day. He's off the same mark at Haydock. He stays 3 miles, loves soft ground. He's still relatively low mileage, unexposed over these trips. And I think the Skelton team are about to click into top gear. So Santos Blue to go in that big handicap hurdle at Haydock.
And he gets on well. He takes a few pound off as well.
Takes a 7 off, does it's very handy in these conditions.
Okay, there's a couple of weekend winners. Hopefully, do let us know exactly what you're looking forward to this weekend. Give us a winner, give us a horse to follow. And thanks again for watching. We're here right the way through to Cheltenham, so do stick with us here on Get Stuck In. We'll see you soon.